My name
Recording
is
in progress.
Emmanuel Champo, and I'm privileged this morning to be your moderator for this session. It is quite exciting to see many academics, practitioners, and policymakers who have gathered here this morning to deliberate on a product that is of key importance to many homes in Africa. And here we are talking about wood fuel, most importantly, charcoal. Wood fuel contributes a lot to the livelihoods of most people along the commodity chain. It contributes to people's livelihoods, and several actors along the chain make significant income from wood fuel. Unfortunately, the narrative around wood fuel production and consumption has not been good. It has been a narrative of environmental degradation, notably forest degradation and deforestation. But other people also question that narrative. So how do we reconcile these two issues? Something that contributes a lot to people's livelihoods, but the production and consumption has those negative narratives. I hope that by the time we leave here for the next 2-3 days, we'll have some ideas as to how we are able to enhance the contribution of charcoal production or wood fuel in general to people's livelihoods, and at the same time, making the production environmentally sustainable. At this point, without wasting much time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome the Provost of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Professor Ben Bamfo, to give us a welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him with a clap.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The representative of the Vice Chancellor of KNUST, representative of the Minister of Education, Mr. Rodney Nkrumah-Boateng, who is the head of communication, the FAO Assistant Director General and Regional Representative for Africa, Mr. Abebe Haley Gabriel, the representative of the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission of Ghana, Dr. Kwachi Amoyal, who is the technical consultant to the Forestry Commission of Ghana, distinguished invited guests, both in person and in the virtual space, the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is my greatest pleasure to warmly welcome you all to this conference on sustainable wood fuel value chains in Africa, the governance, social, economic, and ecological dimensions. The theme for the conference aligns very well with the mandate of the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, which is to provide higher education, undertake research, and disseminate knowledge and technology in sustainable agriculture, renewable natural resources management, and rural development. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have gathered here today for this great conference, we must acknowledge that wood fuel is surrounded by controversies. In Africa, charcoal consumption is projected to increase at rates higher than in any other region of the world. Currently, the charcoal trade in Africa provides income for an estimated 12 million people. This charcoal trade, however, is associated with narratives of environmental degradation and deforestation. Although several governments have taken steps to regularize charcoal production and trade in their respective countries, the measures adopted have not been successful, simply due to the high reliance on charcoal as sources of both livelihood and cheap energy for the growing urban masses. Ladies and gentlemen, the issues surrounding wood fuel production and consumption need to be tackled urgently and collectively by all stakeholders in order to ensure the sustainability of the wood fuel value chain. I am therefore very delighted to see so many committed experts from academia, industry, private sector, and policy-making institutions from across the globe who have assembled here at KNUST this morning to deliberate on the social, economic, and ecological dimensions of wood fuel production, trade, and consumption. It is my fervent hope, ladies and gentlemen, that as stakeholders, you will use this conference as a platform to promote a better understanding and the sharing of knowledge and best practices among and between scholars, practitioners, policymakers, and the private sector to achieve sustainable and equitable wood fuel value chains in Africa. The task of achieving and maintaining sustainable wood fuel value chains in Africa is a daunting one, but with your commitment and sense of purpose, you will make a lasting headway. I hope you will enjoy today and the next 2 days of presentations and networking. I wish you a lot of new ideas and the best of deliberations. Once again, I say welcome, bienvenue, welcome, akwaba. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Banfo, for such an inspiring welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to recognize some few dignitaries that are present here. I would like to recognize the presence of the FAO Assistant Director General and Regional Representative for Africa, Mr. Abebi Hale Gabriel. Please welcome. Please, let's give it up to him. We also have in our midst the representative of the Minister for Energy in Ghana, by name Mr. Rodney Nkrumah Boateng. Please, you are welcome. And he is the head of communications at the Ministry of Energy. We also have a representative of the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission here, and he is being represented by Dr. Kwachia Meyao, who is a technical consultant to the Forestry Commission and also an adjunct lecturer, School of Public Service and Governance at GIMPA. Please, let's give it up to him once again. We have also a rep. The Vice Chancellor wanted to be here. Unfortunately, something has taken her out of town. So she has nominated someone to represent her in this ceremony. And he is by name Professor Rexford Asasi-Opong. Prof, you're welcome. I would like to make a few announcements, and then I'll follow it up with the introduction of the chairperson for this occasion. Please, those of you who would like to join the field trip on Thursday, the tickets are being sold at the registration desk. So please, you can get a ticket during break time. We also need to ensure that we observe the COVID-19 protocols. COVID is not yet gone, so we need to observe the protocols. We have several seats, so please make sure that there's one clear empty seat between you and the next participant. Please, let's observe this. And also, there are sanitizers in your registration packs. Please do well to sanitize your hands as often as possible. And there are also buckets outside for you to wash your hands. So please, let's observe this. Next is the washrooms. There are washrooms at the basement. So if you need to use the washrooms, we go through this door and go down to the basement. The washrooms are there. There are also ushers around who are eager to assist anyone if you need any help. So if you see the ushers in t-shirts, please, you can talk to them if you need anything. And we also have a chief usher, Dr. Brobe, who is standing there. If you need anything that goes beyond the ushers, please talk to the chief usher. Thank you very much. The chairman for this occasion is a professor of architecture and dean of international programs in this noble university. He's a practicing architect of over 20 years experience, and he has an unwavering passion for architectural education and wrote the initial proposal and subsequently chaired the committee to introduce the Doctor of Philosophy program in architecture in KNUST in 2014. He serves on high-profile institutional councils, committees, and bodies in Ghana, and he currently represents the National Council for Tertiary Education on the Governing Council of Koforidua Technical University in Ghana. He's a member of KNUST Executive Committee, Planning and Resources Committee. He is an associate member of Ghana Institute of Architects, and he has undertaken several architectural projects in Ghana. Can't mention them. He has several publications in reputable international journals. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Professor Rexford Asase-Opon to chair this function.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I can imagine what you've gone through to find the profile. For purposes of the records, and also because this is a public function, I'm no more a council member of the Ghana, as the Koforidua Technical University, but rather a professorial member of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, my own university. So it is important to correct that because this is going on into the public domain. But I'd like to commend you because initially, as he said, the Vice Chancellor should have been here. And due to her numerous assignments, it fell on the Pro-Vice Chancellor. And just last night, the Pro-Vice Chancellor also had a message to come to Accra for the government's program of digitization. So I was in the room getting ready to sleep, and I had a call that you have to go and represent the Vice Chancellor. And as duty calls, I have to be here this morning. So I can imagine, I was wondering how you managed to get my profile. So well done for it. So I'll proceed to give my opening remarks representing the Vice Chancellor. And I'd like to again recognize the presence of Mr. Abebe Hill Gabriel, the FO Assistant Director and Regional Representative for Africa, the representative of the Minister of Education, Mr. Rodney Nkrumah Boateng, who is also the head of communication of the ministries, my provost and senior brother, Professor B.K. Bamfo, who has just given us the welcome address. And last but not the least, Dr. Kwache Ameyao, technical consultant to the Ministry Forestry Commission. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, As I said, the Vice Chancellor would have wished to be here, and he has asked me to extend her appreciation to you for attending this all-important conference. She had personally wanted to be here, but due to emergencies on national assignments, she has to be away. And she's very much happy that KNUST is hosting an international conference on wood fuel that brings together people from academia, industry, statutory agencies involved in policy making from different countries around the world. The aim of the conference fulfills KNUST's ambition of making research findings known to the people that need them most. It fills the gap that has long existed between academia, industry, and policy making. As may be known by most of us gathered here, the wood fuel subsector is surrounded by lots of controversies, including narratives of environmental degradation and deforestation. And it is my hope that you will use these 3 days of knowledge and experience sharing to help make the wood fuel subsector economically and environmentally sustainable. The energy needs for the increasing urban population and the economic benefits from the wood fuel subsector should be balanced with conservation. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the Danish government for the numerous project funding support offered to KNUST through DANIDA. The Vice Chancellor says she's been briefed on the financial contributions DANIDA and the other partners have put into this conference, and she's very much grateful for that. We appreciate your kindness for choosing to come to our university for this important conference. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the conference comes at a time that KNUST is celebrating its 70th anniversary with the theme, 70 years of global impact, a new age for a renewed focus. And the university is known for quality teaching and learning, impactful research, entrepreneurship training, and community engagement. The university remains open to collaborative research and community engagement that will impact life. I invite you to take advantage of our beautiful and salubrious campus to enjoy the very best of nature. I accept to chair this function on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, and I wish you a very fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Please, let's give it out once again to Prof. Prof, thank you very much for that message. We are very grateful. Yes, just one announcement to those that want to listen in French. All right, so if you want to listen in French, there are earpieces for you. So you can call the chief usher and get one. He wants to say it in French. My French is not that good, so.
Okay, nous avons des appareils ici qu'on peut utiliser pour écouter l'interprétation. Donc, si vous en avez besoin, vous n'avez qu'à lever la main, on va vous servir. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Okay, all that I heard was merci beaucoup. I just want to make one correction. Please, Mr. Rodney Nkrumah Boateng is representing the Minister of Energy. So he is from the Ministry of Energy. We have said Ministry of Education, but he is from the Ministry of Energy. Thank you very much. It's now time to take messages from key people in this auditorium. We would like to take an opening statement from Professor Christian Hansen, who is from University of Copenhagen and the coordinator for a research project that culminated into this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome Professor Christian Hansen.
Dear distinguished guests, dear conference participants, both those of you who are in the room and those who are participating online, a warm welcome to the International Conference on Sustainable Wood Fuel Value Chains from the conference organizers. We are 9 organizations and institutions who have joined forces in organizing this conference. We are the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO. We are the Center of International Forestry Research, CIFOR. We are the World Agroforestry, ECRAF, the African Forest Policy and Politics Scientific Network, called AFORPOLIS, the International Union of Forest Research Organizations, UFRO, the Forest and Farm Facility under FAO, Tropenbos Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and University of Copenhagen. All these 9 institutions have contributed time and efforts to make this conference happen. The conference is then supported financially by the EU-funded Governing Multifunctional Landscapes program, and in particular its project on sustainable wood fuel, led by CIFOR and ECRAF. We also acknowledge the financial support received from FAO and from GIZ under its Forest Landscape Restoration Project. Financial support for the conference has also been provided by NANIDA under the project Access and Exclusion along the charcoal commodity chain in Ghana, implemented by Tropenbos Ghana, the K University, the University of Ghana, and University of Copenhagen. We are immensely grateful for all the in-kind and financial support that has been given to the conference. Dear participants, as we all know, wood fuels constitute a very important component of the energy mix for cooking and heating in Africa. And this consumption is not to decline in the future, rather the opposite. All projections point towards an increased demand over the coming years. We also know that the production and trade of wood fuels provide a really important component of the livelihood of millions of people across Africa, including many people who are economically and socially marginalized. These facts, these basic facts, provide the general background for this conference. I want here to emphasize 2 key trends, observations, both of which I believe are crucial for this conference. First, and we have already heard about this from the previous speakers, we see an increasing emphasis on a narrative that links production of wood fuels with deforestation. This is a narrative with deep historical roots, yet with questionable scientific evidence, and perhaps also a limited understanding of how production of wood fuels take place in many locations, and how, for example, in many locations, wood fuel production is closely related to the agricultural production on the same localities. The result of this narrative has been across Africa for a call for sustainable and green fuel wood or wood fuel commodity chains, many including plantation establishments for wood fuels. But what does green and what does sustainable actually means in practice in different locations, and how is it achieved? And how can it be done in a way that also safeguards the livelihood of those who depend on the production and trade? And if indeed wood fuel plantations are needed, how can they be implemented in a way that is inclusive and do not lead to dispossession of certain people and groups? These are all important questions which are central to this conference. So the second brief trend that I want to emphasize here is the formalization of the sector. Up to this point, the wood fuel sectors in most sub-Saharan African countries have been characterized by a relatively high degree of informality. But there are many ongoing efforts in many countries to further formalize the sector, that is to organize, to regulate, to control the production and trade, again, typically under the heading of sustainability. Such policies and plans, they give a stronger role to institutions of the state to control the production and trade, through permits, taxes, and enhanced controls. Yet formalizing the sector requires in-depth understanding of the ecological, social, and economic context in which the production takes place. The conference that we are about to open here today provides an opportunity to share and discuss current knowledge, practices, policies, and experiences, and the best way forward. Dear participants, I believe this conference is fairly unique in the way that it combines academic work by researchers, considerations by policymakers and NGOs, and practical examples and cases by firms, associations, and producer groups. And we are a big crowd. We have about 200 people who have registered for the physical conference here in Kumasi, and about 350 people who have registered to the online and are participating across Africa and beyond in this conference. I think that, or at least I hope, that we have an interesting program ahead of us with many presentations, discussions, cases, and videos, all organized into a number of sessions, some of which will run in parallel. You will not be able to participate in it all, but don't worry, we are recording the whole conference and we will make it available to you afterwards. So with no further ado, on behalf of the organizers, a very warm welcome to the conference, and we hope it will be a productive one and useful one for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Christian Hansen, for that message. We didn't want to waste time, so we'll go straight to take a message or a statement from the FAO Assistant General, Director General, and Regional Representative for Africa, Mr. Abibi Hill Gabriel.
Excellencies, Professor Ben Kwaku Brano Bamfu, Provost, College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Mr. Legard Hansen of University of Copenhagen, representative of the Chief Executive Officer of Forestry Commission of Ghana, representative of the Ministry of Energy of Ghana, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to be with you at this important and timely event. We commend Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Ghana's Forestry Commission, the Ministry of Energy, the University of Copenhagen, and all other partners who joined efforts with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, to make this conference a reality with such a big attendance, both in person and online. I thank you. I would like to extend our special thanks and appreciation to the KNUST for hosting this conference in this beautiful campus in the beautiful city of Kumasi. This conference contributes to FAO's response to member countries who made a strong call at the 22nd session of the African Forestry and Wildlife Commission to support sustainable forest management and forest products value chain. That call was heard, and today I am pleased to welcome experts and researchers from the academia, producers, policymakers, technical partners, and civil society representatives to these discussions. In particular, member countries requested support for compilation, analysis, and dissemination of good practices for sustainable charcoal production, as well as the adoption of alternative sources of energy, and recommended that FAO support countries in the formulation and implementation of national charcoal strategies. The cross-sectoral nature of the issue and its wide social, environmental, and economic impacts in Africa calls for synergy of efforts from everyone. Wood produced in Africa is primarily used as fuel, providing basic energy for cooking to about 2/3 of the population. This makes Africa the region with the highest reliance on wood fuels compared to any other region globally. Such heavy reliance on wood fuel in Africa has led to forest degradation, deforestation, and indoor air pollution, with impacts on health and gender equality as well. One of the targets of Sustainable Development Goal number 7, namely affordable and clean energy, is universal access to clean cooking solutions by 2030. The progress so far, however, has been very slow in Africa, with an increase of only 7% in the past 2 decades. The agencies responsible for monitoring progress on SDG 7 have estimated that about 1 billion people in Africa would have to rely on traditional wood fuel by 2030 under current policies, unless bold actions are taken soon. Reliance on wood fuel is a complex issue that needs to be carefully addressed through multi-sectoral approaches by multiple stakeholders and along the whole value chains. I trust that through this forum, we will be able to share solutions from policies to good practices and technologies corroborated by the best available science and field experience. These solutions would need further scaling up and investments and support by all of us. We must keep in mind too the critical role the smallholder forest and farm producers can play in piloting and bringing to scale alternative practices that promote more sustainable production of wood fuels, more sustainable pathways across value chains from production to consumption, and that assure mutual benefits for livelihoods and the environment. Allow me to cite one particular example from Ghana, where FAO is currently working with the local partners, the Ghana Federation of Forest and Farm Producers, with the support of the Forest and Farm Facility towards actionable policy and practice alternatives for sustainable wood fuel production in Ghana. The producers' organization was able to facilitate a national dialogue with many of the relevant stakeholders, including government institutions, traditional authorities, civil society organizations, charcoal producers, and the academia. This dialogue helped to identify policy and practice alternatives for more sustainable charcoal and wood fuel production, as well as innovative alternative practices for sustainable wood fuel value chains. You will hear more about this experience in the sessions and panel discussions. FAO will continue to collaborate with forest and farm producer organizations in advancing multi-stakeholder platforms that generate actionable policy and practice alternatives for sustainable wood fuel value chains. I want to mention another program that's led by FAO, which is the JEF Impact Program on sustainable forest management in the drylands, where wood fuel issues will be tackled in the Southern Africa region in collaboration with the Southern African Development Community, SADC. In the face of climate change, it's important to make smart choices towards greener, renewable, and affordable energy while we work towards more sustainable wood fuel value chains across Africa. We must do this in an integrated manner, taking into account the sustainable management and restoration of forest resources and landscapes and tree-based agricultural systems. This is why FAO is working in partnership with the African Union and the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, to support restoration programs such as Africa Great Green Wall and the African Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative. Both of these offer great opportunities to restore hundreds of millions of hectares of degraded forests and landscapes, while ensuring the protection of existing forests and the development of greener and climate-smart forest products value chains to support energy needs and livelihoods. In our efforts to find innovative solutions for more sustainable wood fuel value chains, we must keep in mind that a significant proportion of rural populations across Africa depend on wood fuel value chains for their livelihoods, and that limited availability of and access to wood fuel could exacerbate hunger and poverty. Sustainable managed forests have strong potential to contribute to energy access and energy transition towards global decarbonization. With the UN Decade of Action, we must work together for better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and better life for all, leaving no one behind. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Abebe, for that insight. It really sets the scene for the rest of the conference. Now, the Chief Executive Officer, let me make a comment on the Danish ambassador. He was scheduled to be here this morning. Unfortunately, there's a program going on at the embassy, so he was not able to attend. I would like to call upon the representative of the Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission of Ghana, Dr. Kwachia Mayor, to give a statement. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's welcome Dr. Kwachia Mayor.
Thank you very much, Prof. Achampong. Good morning to everybody. Mr. Chairman, Provost of Faculty of Agriculture and Natural Resources of KNUST, African FAO representative, representative of the Minister of Energy, conference organizers, colleagues from the forestry fraternity, invited guests, reps of media houses represented here, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission. He was very much bent on coming here himself because of the importance he attaches to this program. Unfortunately, at the same time, he has to travel up north with the Vice President to launch the Share Landscape program. And that is why he asked me to come and hold a fort for him. So in the next moment, the Chief Executive of Forestry Commission will be speaking through me. I am grateful to the organizers of the conference for the opportunity given to me to make a statement on this very important occasion. Firewood and charcoal provide more than 80% of the energy used in sub-Saharan Africa, according to the World Agroforestry Center, with only a small volume produced sustainably. According to the World Bank 2011, not recognizing the importance of the charcoal industry in the energy sector has resulted in poor governance of the sector and also a loss of government revenue to a tune of up to $100 million US. In Ghana, charcoal is a popular choice for cooking and heating, and it is locally available and by far the cheapest option when compared to electricity, kerosene, and cooking gas. Records available at the Energy Commission indicate that wood fuels account for more than 60% of the total energy used in Ghana. It is the traditional energy source of Ghana. The bulk of the country's primary energy supply comes from wood, that is biomass. It is on record that 14 to 16 million tons, around 25 to 28 million cubic meters of wood were consumed as fuel annually in Ghana between 2000 and 2004. The industry has over the years been a source of livelihood for many in the rural and urban areas in Ghana. It provides jobs and incomes for wood producers, charcoal producers, transporters, wholesalers, and retailers. Against the foregoing background, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Forestry Commission in Ghana recognized the urgent need for the wood fuel to charcoal value chain involving wood harvesting to production, processing, bulk transportation of wood fuel charcoal, wholesale trade, retail trade, and consumption to be well regulated through the provision of a sound policy that will help reduce the negative impacts of the industry on the forestry sector in particular and the environment as a whole. The government's commitment to mitigating these challenges accounted for policy objective 1 of the Forest and Wildlife Policy of 2012, which aims at managing and enhancing the ecological integrity of forests, savanna, wetlands, and other ecosystems. In furtherance of this objective, the related strategic direction seeks to sustainably manage and develop commercial wood fuel supplies and other non-timber forest products on both on and off reserve forest areas. And under the specific policy strategies, the government intends to, 1, enact the necessary legislation to support and ensure that forest, trees, wildlife, and non-timber forest products on private and communal lands are managed according to the National Forestry Development Objectives and Resource Owners' Priorities. 2, develop criteria and indicators and a chain of custody to ensure that commercial production of wood forests and all types of forests is sustainable. 3, promote the establishment of a commercial and smallholder wood fuel plantations both on and off forest reserves. Develop a national regulatory framework for the commercial exploitation of defined NTFPs at district levels. And promote research and development programs for commercially viable NTFPs. After having read about the focus of this international conference, I have no doubts whatsoever in my mind about its tremendous potential to augment the measures that are being put in place by the Ghana Minister of Lands and Natural Resources and the Forestry Commission to promote sustainable harvesting and production of wood fuels in Ghana in particular and sub-Saharan Africa in general. It is my greatest pleasure, therefore, to highly commend the proponents of such a laudable initiative that holds a lot of promise for complementing the efforts of the sub-Saharan African governments in their individual and collective resolve to ensure sustainable wood fuel value chains within their respective jurisdictions. Prof. Chairman, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to draw the attention of these international conference participants to the fact that the current threat posed by indiscriminate harvesting of trees for charcoal production is not a threat to environmental sustainability only, but also a threat to the livelihoods of the relatively large number of people who are engaged in the charcoal/wood fuel industry. It is therefore my humble advice that the international conference, which is about to begin in the next few minutes today, should therefore not be treated as a 3-day city-based event for mere declaration of intents. It should rather provide the impetus to drive it beyond the frontiers, the confines of bureaucratic frontiers, to the charcoal endemic communities across sub-Saharan Africa, where the real challenges are prevalent. In my candid opinion, this is the only way by which the charcoal industry, the type of congenial governance atmosphere within which it can thrive, as well as the livelihoods of the various actors in the industry, can be sustained for both this generation and posterity. On this note, Prof. Chairman, it is my pleasure to wish all the conference participants very fruitful deliberations. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Kwachamiyo, who is the rep of the Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission of Ghana. We now take a statement from the rep of the Minister of Energy, Mr. Rodney Nkrumah, who is the head of communications at the ministry. Let's welcome Mr. Rodney Nkrumah.
Thank you very much. Professor Chairman, Mr. Abebe Haile Gabriel, FAO Assistant Director General and Regional Representative of Africa, Professor Ben Kweku Brano Banfo, Provost College of Agric and Natural Resources, KNUST, the representative of the CEO Forestry Commission, Dr. Kwachamiyo, conference participants, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a delight to join you here this morning for this important conference, and I wish to present to you the warm compliments and best wishes of the Honorable Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, who is engaged elsewhere. Permit me, Chairman, to further applaud the organizers for putting together this international conference to bring together important stakeholders in the energy space to discuss the subject of wood fuels. Yours is a noble enterprise, a demonstration of the key role that we can all play in helping to shape the public conversation on how to leverage on our natural resources for the betterment of our people. I would also like to, on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, to welcome our international visitors to this beautiful country. It is my expectation that you will get to enjoy and appreciate the many delights that our country has to offer, and also experience the well-known traditional Ghanaian hospitality. Professor Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, for many years, wood fuel as a primary source of energy for cooking has been the scenario on the African continent. In 2018, for instance, 900 million people on the continent relied on the traditional use of biomass, such as charcoal and firewood, for this purpose. Overall, this accounted for about 45% of the primary energy demand. In 2016-17, 36% of households used firewood as their main source of cooking fuel, with charcoal taking 37%. LPG use accounted for 26% of use, whilst electricity took 1%. Traditional use of biomass, mainly in the form of charcoal, firewood, crop residues, and manure, continue to comprise the main staple form of energy in many parts of Africa. Substantial gains can be realized by modernizing existing technologies and behaviors. However, we need strategic, innovative, and joined-up considerations in ensuring that our very existence on this planet is not threatened by indiscriminate exploitation of wood fuels. Professor Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Energy's strategic policy is to ensure effective regulation through sustainable production, marketing, and consumption of wood fuels. This is achievable in three main ways. One, developing and implementing a wood fuel regulation in Ghana. Two, reduce wastage by improving conversion efficiencies along the value chain of the biomass subsector. Three, further reduce total primary biomass energy consumption from 40% to 30% by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, over the years, the government of Ghana has introduced various projects and initiatives aimed at efficient sources of energy. These include the Rural LPG Promotion Program, which has been running since 2013, the National LPG Promotion Policy of 2017, which includes the reintroduction of the cylinder recirculation model, the promotion of the first improvised cook stoves in Ghana, under which 40,000 stoves were distributed, the introduction of 680,000 Japa stoves under the Enterprise Works Ghana initiative in 2002, and the Household Energy Program jointly initiated by the Ministry of Energy and the World Bank in 2006, under which improved wood stoves were deployed in 22 senior high schools in the northern and upper east regions of Ghana. Beyond these, a number of projects and programs are ongoing. These include: one, the distribution of 500,000 cook stoves by PIU and third parties. Two, forest landscape restoration by means of sustainable wood energy value chains. Three, National Bioenergy Action Plan and National Wood Energy Regulation. And finally, sustainable charcoal production, which encompasses woodlot establishment and the introduction and promotion of efficient kilns for charcoal production. Professor Chairman, the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is committed to the country's commitments under SDG 7. To this end, we are focused on expanding the adoption of market-based cleaner cooking solutions and sustainable charcoal production and use. In order to achieve this, we are working on scaling up the adoption of liquefied petroleum gas for household, commercial, and institutional purposes from 25% to 50% nationwide by 2030. We're also scaling up access to and adoption of improved biomass stoves by 3 million households by 2030, and will promote innovative and efficient kilns while supporting the establishment of woodlots. Professor Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, our continent is at an important crossroads in a rapidly evolving globalized society. Several opportunities avail themselves to put the continent on the path to prosperity and away from the age-old unfortunate narrative of a basket case embroiled in conflict, deprivation, and despair. It is time for Africa to summon the political will to come together in a purposeful manner, build on these opportunities, and work hard to surmount our challenges. I am confident that the discussions we have here will inure to the benefit and progress of our people, and that this conference will be fruitful in promoting better use of our natural resources for posterity. Our doors at the Ministry of Energy remain open and welcoming to further conversations as we strive to do better for our people. Africa certainly has a bright future. Let us nurture it. I thank you for your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nkrumah Boateng, for giving us that statement. We all agree that all the statements that have come allude to the fact that charcoal is very important. At the same time, they also acknowledge the fact that the production and consumption of wood fuel has some impacts on the environment. So as we go through the conference, we need to bear this in mind and try to find solutions to make sure that charcoal production and consumption, or wood fuel production and consumption, becomes environmentally sustainable. We are gradually getting to the end of this program. I'm happy that we are within time. We'll now call upon the chairman of this occasion to give us a closing remark. Ladies and gentlemen, let's invite Professor Resford Asase-Opong.
Okay. We are grateful that the energy is back. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed gratifying to be part of this function. Having listened to, in no particular order, Professor Bamford, the Provost of College of Agricultural and Natural Resources, Professor Hansen from University of Copenhagen, Mr. Abebe Hel Gabriel, Assistant Director General of the FAO, and Mr. Nkrumah Boateng, Rodney, isn't it? And then, as I said, last but not the least, my brother, Dr. Kwache Amiyao. I mean, with the insightful speeches they have given to us. As I was sitting there, the key word that I found throughout the speeches, the key word is narrative. Narrative. And the question I was asking myself is that, whose narrative it is? And therefore, would it be appropriate for us to modify the theme for the conference as sustainable narratives for wood fuel value chains in Africa, governance, social, economic, and ecological dimensions? This is a question to us. It is important for us to recognize the fact that when we talk of energy, it is indeed a subject that connects everybody. In fact, it is an ecosystem. Energy itself is an ecosystem that connects everybody because we all rely on energy, whether we like it or not. Whether you sleep, you eat, whatever. So if you look at the essentials of life, what really drives it is energy. Either it is biological, electronic, or whatever, it is energy. And that makes the subject really, really important. And talking about the ecological aspect and therefore linking it to the ecosystem and asking the question, whose narratives are we telling here? Who is listening? Who is telling the narrative? And who is the narrator telling the narrative to? Our mothers, our wives, the poor woman in the rural community selling charcoals, going to the bush to get fuel wood, coming to the community. It's interesting to note that just last night, as I said, I was getting ready to go to bed and then I had this. A visitor had come to visit us, and then after chatting, my wife went out to see her off, and then when my wife came in, her hands were very black. And I said, why? He said, oh, my friend had planned going to buy charcoal. And she decided to pass here for us to have this conversation. And because the conversation got so interesting, it delayed. And therefore, she could not get to where the charcoals are sold. And my wife decided to go and fetch the charcoal that we have at home on campus, KNUST campus, charcoal, we use it. So this tells us how far the use of charcoal can go. It doesn't matter in the village, it doesn't matter I'm not surprised that if you go to the president's home in Ghana, you find charcoal there. So that means that the narratives that we are talking about goes beyond this particular hall, and that is what we have to really be mindful of. It concerns everybody. It concerns architects, it concerns engineers, it concerns doctors, sociologists, anthropologists, everybody. And that is how ecosystem works. So bringing my closing remarks to a close, I'm particularly happy to mention that the Minister of Energy, Honorable Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, had indicated in the speech that his doors are opened, and therefore we can always knock on the door and get good conversation by telling these very narratives that we will get at the end of this conference. Once again, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Mrs. Rita Kusia-Dixon, I wish you a very fruitful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Asase-Opong, for that inspiring closing remark. All too soon, we have come to the end of the opening session of this conference. We would like to take a group photograph. Whilst the photograph is going on, we'll take a cultural interlude from the cultural group led by, if you permit me, Ejakonimo. So the ushers, please kindly organize. Are we going out or we are taking it inside? Just here, okay. So we'll mount the podium and take a group photograph. After the photograph and the cultural interlude, we are not going away. We are coming back here to have the first keynote presentation. So there will be a short break after the cultural interlude, and then we reconvene here for the first keynote presentation. So on behalf of the organizers, I would like to thank the dignitaries so much for availing yourself for this important conference. We know that you are going to join us. In fact, we are inviting you to join us for the first keynote presentation, so please don't run away. At this point, I would like you all to come up here for the group photograph. Thank you very much.
What did that come? Young bad. A train from a money, email from a path. You be a child. Till by the tongue, the Sadia made. Oh, in the old way, and you're young check in. Baby,
you.